Hello, welcome back to the Reapers. So we've got this complex aircraft, and so we've got a lot to cover. So it's this Ka-50. The storybook's going to take us through some of the navigation, excuse me, autopilot, and other stuff that we need to learn to use. So, excuse me, I've got a bad throat today. Storybook, do you want to kick off with the autopilot?
Hey, firm. Okay, when you start the plane or start the helicopter with a hot start or running it by the manual, on that bottom right autopilot panel, you should have your bank hold, pitch hold, and heading hold selected.
Roger.
By default, the altitude hold is off, and you really should have the altitude hold off when you're taking off or on the ground or anything.
Roger. So let me just show the guys at home. Excuse me. So these, this one, and this one are currently on. You can tell because the fonts are slightly darker blue, and this one here is turned off. I know it looks weird, but that's just how it is. Okay, so I've currently got heading, bank, and pitch on. Everything else off.
Okay, so this basically is going to hold whatever you trim the helicopter to. So that means that if you're flying and you do a bank and you don't retrim the helicopter after you finish the bank, then your helicopter is going to slowly be trying to drift you back to where you were. So let's just do some examples of that. Let's take off, just, increase collective, push the stick forward slightly in this altitude, and then we'll start messing around. You'll actually see some symbology.
We'll just stand by. Right, so I've just got those three selected. I'm taking off now, stand by. A little bit of a wonky takeoff, but we're okay. Right.
Could be because of your trim.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let me just neutralize the trim a bit and get myself settled. Stand by.
Also, as a tip, for pretty much every helicopter I fly, I hit right control enter, and that pulls up where your controls are actually being inputted into the system.
Yes. That basically just tells you where your inputs are currently detecting the helicopter's pitch and roll off.
Roger, so I've added a little screen at the bottom left that shows where my joystick and rudder is. Understood?
Okay, just climb a little bit. We need to get up to 550 meters.
Also, are you sure your auto hover mode is enabled?
No, I've turned it off because I don't want my auto hover on Silverberg, is that right?
You don't right now.
Roger, I'll just hold it by hand. Right, I'll just hold it by hand, that's fine. Okay, I'm up at 150 meters.
Okay, try to level yourself off your climb gauge.
Right, climb gauge, got to remember what that is.
It's on the HUD.
Yeah,
Found it.
Right, you'll see, plus just try to get that as close to zero.
Okay, I'm pretty much bang on zero.
Okay, and now raise your gear.
Gear coming up.
Okay, what's your heading?
Heading is currently 340.
Alright, I'm gonna turn 340. Okay, so if you look on your at the top of your HUD where the compass is, you'll see you'll see your compass, and there's a little tick mark, carrot little looking thing that shows where your helicopter is pointed. If you want to push to the right or left of the rudder, see that?
What up?
And there's also a diamond.
That's the trim set, isn't it?
Yes, the trim is set for that heading.
Yep. Oh, really?
Yes, because you have the heading hold on. That it's set for that heading.
Let me try that again then. So 340. I'm gonna set it at 340. Oh yes, I see. Right. Okay. So if I set the diamond to 340, it's going to turn me to 340 then.
Basically, the autopilot doesn't have full authority over your helicopter right now. It just gives you a little bit of assistance. So you still have to use your rudder pedals. You still have to use your cyclic.
Right.
But, it's going to help you guide on that point.
Right, this explains why, because I was really fighting before to get the helicopter to the point where I wanted, and it's because I must have had the diamond set at the wrong azimuth.
Yeah, so basically, the way I fly this helicopter is I leave those autopilot channels on and use, anytime I'm making a turn, I just hold the trimmer button, and it disengages the autopilot for a temporary time. So then you can make your bank, and then once you get set up on your bank, release the trimmer button, and you'll be flying on that heading with that pitch angle with that bank angle that you set.
Right. Shall I try that now?
Yeah, I would just push the trimmer button, and you're going to push and hold, and you're going to see that your helicopter gets a lot more wobbly. It's going to be a little more like the Huey.
Roger. And do I want to release it while I'm turning?
I would just bank, pitch forward a little bit, increase your clock just so you don't fall off the sky, and then release it. You should see the carrot at the top move, or the diamond at the top move to whatever heading you set, and your pitch will set at that angle as well.
Agreed. So what I did is during the turn, I held the trim set on and then released it when I was on my azimuth that I wanted to level out at.
Yep, and so if you wanted to make, let's say you wanted to make a 90-degree left turn, you can, there's different ways to do it, but I find it's easier to just hold the trimmer button and then do your bank and input rudder, and then do that 90-degree turn, and once you're on your heading and everything, with the speed you want, the pitch angle you want, then you just release the trimmer button.
Yep, just done that. Yeah, I see, I'll get much more authority when I've got the trimmer pressed.
Yeah, because you're not fighting against the autopilot.
Yeah.
You're telling it to just chill out for a second. I'm making a correction.
Yeah, roger that.
Okay, so I guess that kind of covers the basics of using the trim for the most part. There's a separate mode, though, on the autopilot panel on your bottom right.
Yes.
It's called the flight director mode. That's that button that's not in this group before. It's the other one that looks the same, though.
FDAP. FDAP?
Yes.
Right.
If you want to switch that on.
Switching it on now. Okay, it's turned on.
Okay, so now it's basically your helicopter's going to fly. It'll still trim and everything, but it turns off the bank pitch and heading hold and the altitude hold. So it's just dampening your inputs. So now it doesn't really matter if you press the trimmer button or not. It's not going to hold your position on your bank. So if you do a right-hand bank a little.
Yeah, it's letting me do it.
Yeah, so this is basically a looser feel. This is good if you're trying to fly, nap of the earth, getting close to a target area, and you need a lot of maneuverability. Then this is probably the way you want to go, or else you'll just be holding the trimmer button the entire time you're doing hard maneuvers.
Understood. So without Flight Director, it's very binary in that the trimmer holds your helicopter in very kind of static poses and makes you go in straight lines and stuff like that. But with the Flight Director turns on, it overrides that and gives you a smoother feel and takes less control. That's how I'm thinking of it.
Yeah, basically. And also, if you look on your HUD, your symbology's changed a little bit. So you still have that little carrot or the diamond at the top that shows what your trimmer was set for. But it's kind of just a guide for you. There's also at the middle of it, you see there's 2 extra lines. You see where your pitch indication.
Yeah, I see that.
And then there's those 2 lines on the right side. Those show you what the bank angle was set when you trimmed it. It's kind of a guide for you, though, because it doesn't actually push you back to that point.
Roger. Okay, so it just tells you where you had set it, and you can fly at that if you want.
Yeah, and then another handy thing is if you have the altitude hold on, it'll give you an indication of if you're higher or lower than the altitude that you set was.
Should I do that now?
Yeah, you can set the altitude hold on.
Yep. Okay, I see it. Yep. These vertical lines.
Yeah, and so if you are, I think if they're on top, then that means you're low.
Yep.
And if they're below you, then that means you're high. Okay. It's kind of like the big in the sense of symbology.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense. So I've got a rough idea how they work now. I'm going to have to play with them in my own time to see which I prefer, but okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, for stuff like the auto hover, or we really shouldn't call it auto hover. It's really more of a hover hold button.
Yeah.
You need to have it not in flight director mode. This is more for just flying and doing formation stuff. You don't want the autopilot kind of messing with you. but once you get into a target area and you want to initiate a hover, and then you probably want to turn off the flight director.
Copy. Okay, that makes sense. So does that cover the autopilot modes then?
That covers. There's like 2 more things I want to cover that go with the auto hover. So if you could turn off your flight director and the altitude hold.
What, done?
Okay, now we're going to try to slow down and get into just a hover without turning on the hover hold.
Right, so I just want to get into a natural hover without the hover hold, yep.
Yes, yeah, trim yourself in, because, remember, you have to hold the trimmer button to get rid of that pitch hold. So.
Yeah, I'm going to get rid of my speed.
And as you're doing this, once you get below about 50 kilometers per hour, you should see a indicator on your HUD, a little line.
Nearly there. Yep, a line's appeared at 50 kilometers. I don't know what it means.
So yeah, that is showing you your drift. So if it's pointing forward, that means you're drifting forward. If it's pointing backwards, that means you're drifting backwards.
It's getting shorter. The line's getting shorter.
Yes. Yep. So the longer it is, the faster you're drifting in that direction. So you want to try to get that as close to the center as you can before you initiate the hover hold.
I see. So
theoretically, you can get it. The hover hold will work decently if you're below about 20 kilometers per hour, but it's better to just try to get it within about 5 kilometers per hour and then initiate the hover hold.
Roger. I got it to the center, and then I pressed hover hold and let go of the stick, and it just went nuts. I think I wasn't supposed to let go of the stick, was I?
Yeah, you still kind of need to hold the stick.
Yeah, right. Let me try that again. Bug that one up. Right, so I'm going to get slower.
And make sure you're trimming throughout this process as well. Either holding it and getting it to the point that you need and releasing, or you can kind of tap it depending on how accurate your joystick is.
Right, that's looking pretty.
So once you're close enough, just once you're below about 20 kilometers per hour, or I would say closer to 5, then hit the hover hold button.
Right, so now I'm going to press hover. Let's see what happens. That's a bit more like it. Right, so I've got my line nice and small and central, and I put hover, and it's gone into a lovely little hover for me.
Hey, firm, and then that light, remember, that we had at the top, and your top panel shows you that you're in hover hold.
Yep, and we're at 0 clicks now.
And there's also a different symbology on your HUD. There's that circle.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
That's basically the point that you were initiated the hover hold at, and you see there's like a square in it that shows how far you're deviating off of it.
Roger. Okay.
Other things to note about the hover hold, if you want to, I think it's easier to see if you look down at the HSI, which is on the left side of the scroll.
Tally.
There's a cross in it that also shows you your drift from where you initiated the hover hold.
Right, so it shows so if the cross is slightly down and right, it means I'm hovering backwards and right slightly.
No, that means the point that you initiated the hover hold is backwards, is behind you to the right.
Okay. I am perfectly static. I pressed F3. I'm perfectly static.
Good. Okay. So there's a few other things you need to note when you're in hover hold. Is that the altitude hold switch is automatically enabled. By default, it is in the radar altimeter hold.
Roger.
And so when you disengage the hover hold, that button stays on. So if you're wondering why you're fighting your collective, it's because it's set on whatever altitude it was set at when you were in hover hold.
So if I cancel the auto hover, does the altitude hold stay on?
Yes, it stays on.
So I need to remember to get rid of that then.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're doing. Sometimes you might as well just leave it on. Other times you'll be wondering why your collective is going up and down a bunch when you're flying over, mountains or something.
Roger, noted.
And it's because you forgot to turn that off.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, let's cover the, did you map the collective brake to your HOTAS?
No, but I can do that now. What does collective brake do?
The collective brake, it basically sets what altitude the altitude hold is trying to, set you at.
Stand by.
Its default on the keyboard is the F key.
F will be fine for now, so... Right, so we want to use the altitude brake, so shall I press F and see what happens?
Yeah, you can press it.
I didn't see anything different in the HUD, but it did make me jerk a bit.
Yeah, okay, so you are probably have been fighting your collective brake and the autopilot this whole time.
Roger.
Basically, on the bottom right of your HUD, you'll see like a scale +20, +10, 0.
Yeah.
So that is what you're setting your autopilot, the altitude hold, to be at. So when you say you raise your collective and then you hit the collective brake, it'll reset where the autopilot's trying to hold you for the altitude.
So how do I'm in this auto hover, how do I increase the altitude of it?
The real way that I do it is you'll hold F, so you'll hold the collective brake.
Yeah.
And that'll kind of get rid of the authority, and then you increase your collective to whatever you want, and then the altitude that you want to hold, then you release the collective brake.
Stand by. So collective brake on. A slight increase in collective.
Yeah, basically you just raise yourself like 10 or 20 meters, and then release the collective brake.
Okay, it's going up, and hold. And I'll put it on hold again, and let's just let it settle.
Yep. And so now your autopilot's trying to set that altitude.
Not doing a very good job, Zorbeg. It's still going up and up and up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah, because your collective is probably too high, you need to lower it a little bit. Yeah, this is kind of a fiddly thing about it, because in the Ka-50 you generally don't want to be hovering at 200 meters above a battlefield. You often want to be going up and down to spot targets, but not expose your airframe to anti-aircraft fire.
I still didn't get why I had to use the collective brake. Why I can't just use the collective, push the collective up myself.
You can, but then you're fighting the autopilot. It's like trying to do a bank without pushing the trimmer.
Yeah, I get it. So you're saying it would try and take me back down to that original setting then?
Yeah,
Right.
you're just fighting your collective in the autopilot system.
Okay, I'll have to have some practice to get a feel for that, but okay.
Yeah, so oftentimes when you're actually in a battlefield situation, you'll actually disable the altitude hold, so that you can raise yourself 10 meters, kind of look around, and then drop back down.
You set yourself on a true line, you pop up with the thing disabled, and then pop back down.
Yep. But by default, when you engage the hover hold, it's going to turn it on.
Okay.
The second thing to cover about the hover hold, you're going to like this, Cap. Are you in an area that you could land in? You're not above like a building or something?
Stand by. Yep, looks flat.
Okay, put your gear down.
Gear down.
Okay, let me make sure I get the button right. Okay, there's also a mode, so if you're in hover mode, you can engage what's called descent mode. By default, that's keyboard key D.
Roger. Do you want me to do that?
If you just hold that button, it'll automatically descend your helicopter without getting you in a vortex ring state.
It is doing that. We are, well, no. No, it's stuck at +624. Why is it not going down?
That might be because the altitude hold is on.
Right. It changes the HUD slightly, but it's not really dropping me down.
Might need to lower your collective a little bit.
I don't.
Yeah, it's a slow process because it doesn't want you to get in a vortex ring state. And I just tested it. You can do it with the altitude hold on. So it drops you at about, what is this, like 1 or 2 meters per second.
Combined, it's just leveling out. Okay, it's leveled itself out again, so now I'm going to try dropping again. Okay, here it goes. Right, yeah, it was working now. Down we go, down we go. So I just keep my finger on it and it would land, essentially, yeah?
Yep, and this is a way that if you just want to line up over a parking spot at the runway and then just hold the auto descent mode, it'll get you down to about 5 meters above, and then you have to do it manually yourself and touchdown.
Copy. Okay, I'm several hundred meters, so I'm not going to go all the way down, but I understand. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and so that's also useful if you're in a battlefield situation and you want to descend behind a building and you're worried about getting in a vortex ring state.
Yeah.
That's basically where you stall, where you're in your prop wash.
Yeah.
That's basically a autopilot way to avoid doing that.
Is if I let go, will it hold where I'm at?
Yep, it'll hold.
And stop. And yes, it has indeed hold. And is there the opposite to D, something to go up?
No, that would be just with the collective brake, like we were talking about.
Cool. Okay, that's good. Yep.
There's one more thing in level flight, but that I guess we can talk about that more when we do waypoints and stuff. It's the en route mode, but that'll probably be better for if we talk about waypoints later in a different video.